to yet another episode of Candid Chats. My name is Nuru Rianga. Today I want us to think a little bit about some of the situations where we encounter loneliness, and I'd like us to think back or remind ourselves of a story that's told in the Bible. And this one is found in Genesis chapter 12, and it's about Abraham and Sarah. So let me just briefly go through it. So Abraham and Sarah were married, and they were living in, if I'm not wrong, the town of Haran. And Abraham was around 75 years at the time, and Sarah was 74 years old. And so they had been living there, and they were kind of prosperous. I think that they had their own sort of things going. They had their family around. It was like their comfort zone and everything. And then one day, Abraham just hears a voice, a strange voice he has never heard before. It turns out it was the voice of God. But at this time, he didn't know God. They were living in a society that was polytheistic, so that means that there were many gods that they were worshipping. And so for him, this one was like a strange voice from a God that he didn't know yet. And this voice was telling him to pick up all his things and his family and to move to a land that he will be shown. He was not told exactly where the land was, how far it was, but he was told just pack up and start moving in this general direction, and then I'll tell you when to stop. So you can imagine that Abraham had all these thoughts going on in his mind. He had established maybe his businesses there, like maybe he had even invested there. His family was there, his wife. He had built his whole entire life there, and then he's being told to up and leave. So anyway, the Bible says that he unquestioningly obeyed, and he said, okay, let's just move on. So now I'd like to focus our attention a bit to Sarah. See, Sarah was the wife. She was just going on her usual day-to-days. Maybe she was, like the chair lady of their chama or something. Maybe she had her own small biashara she was doing. And here is a husband who's coming home one day to say, hey, there's a strange voice who has told me to move. And we are all moving together as a family. So you can imagine the confusion that's going on in Sarah's mind. She's like, wait a minute. First of all, who told you this? This strange voice. How come you're the only one who's hearing it? If it was today's age, someone would be like, I am an schizophrenia man. But even through all that confusion, I'm not sure, the Bible does not tell us what Sarah's reaction was, or any debates that they have, if they had any, but I'm sure that there were several thoughts and feelings that were going through Sarah as a woman. And it's sort of like, oh, this man who I have moved in with and we have been living together all this while, now you want to just uproot me, you don't even know where you're going. What direction is this you're taking me and our family in that I am not sure of? And so anyway, all those thoughts that must have been going through her mind, and then she eventually chooses to go with him, because I'm sure she had a choice. She would have said, no, I'm just going to stay here, you go. If it pans out, you just call me and the rest and we'll follow. But no, she said, let's go together. And I'm sure even as she was trying to explain to her friends or her family or those who are around that, hey, I'm shutting down this business because we are moving here. Where are you going? You don't know. Abraham was just told. My husband was just told, so I'm just following him blindly. You can imagine all the naysayers that were being, that were around her, just telling her, hey, this is a bad decision. Are you sure? Planting seeds of doubt. But even in that situation, I feel like I would also be filled with doubt, be filled with insecurities and not knowing what to do. I'd also feel extremely lonely, because this is like a journey that only I understand. Well, I don't even understand it, but it's a journey that I'm willing to go through and to support my person in this journey. And I feel like this is a position that women all around the world find themselves in, either as, wives or, girlfriends or even mothers. You find yourselves in a position where you are sort of supporting or following someone's idea, and you're not even sure how that idea is going to work out. But because this person is someone you love, they have made it clear that this is where they want to go, and you choose to go with them. But now you see this lonely path, you're the only one who understands it. And it might feel like everything and everyone in your life is speaking against that. You might feel like you're so depressed. You might feel like, why am I doing this? You might second guess yourself. But guess what? At the end of the story, they made it to the promised land, and they were actually successful. And even in the new promised land, Sarah even was given the blessing of her firstborn child, Isaac. So ladies, I just want to encourage you and just to tell you that you're doing fine, that it's okay to feel alone sometimes. It's okay to feel like you are just down in the dumps and that you're even dug the deepest hole and you just feel like you're carrying this thing alone. It happens, and it doesn't make you a weak person. It is just a fact of life, and it happens every once in a while. But just remember that just as you put bread into the oven is very hot and it's also very silent and very dark. But after 45 minutes or 50 minutes of baking in the heat, then when you take out that loaf of bread, it is so refreshing. The aroma just pulls people towards it, and when it is divided amongst the people, it serves as a source of refreshment and strengthening to those who partake of it. So just like that, in that silence of the loneliness, in that silence of uncertainty or fear of the unknown, let's keep on trudging. Let's persevere through the heat, the trials and the temptations, and let's make it to the other side, because we will. We definitely will. All it takes is courage and one step at a time. So with that, I end this episode of Candid Chats, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.